All right. Microphone always helps.
Yep.
It always helps.
Sound check.
Check, check.
How much time we have, Bob? Said about 5 minutes.
Yep. So we are live, day 2 from the NAFA Baltimore INE Expo floor. And we're here with Elliot Bensel from CEI Element. Elliot, how are you? And what do you do to keep drivers safe?
Doing well, Bob. Thanks for asking. You know what? In today's day and age, it's so important to look at drivers as your most valuable asset. I mean, we have all these vehicles that do our jobs for us, and that really helps. But man, you know, getting drivers home safe is the number one thing that we need to be thinking about. And you know, what's interesting is a lot of times fleets are so focused on the job safety and that sort of thing,
Right.
they forget about actually driving the vehicle, you know, getting the driver to and from the job site, getting the driver to and from home, that sort of thing.
Yes.
And it really comes down to kind of two basic things, right? You've got the vehicle with all the advanced technologies today. You've got the ADAS, you've got the vehicle is really almost like a bubble wrap for the driver, but the vehicle is just one component of it. The other thing is that driver behavior, what that driver does behind the wheel. It's so important to focus in on that. And what's really cool about today's technology, in addition to the motor vehicle record checks, which are now available continuously. So if you know how a driver has a license or doesn't, that's great. Previous collision data, really important stuff to anticipate. But telematics, predictive analytics,
Right.
getting in front of that collision before it even happens by looking at things like harsh braking, harsh cornering,
Right.
all that stuff, pulling all that data in, mixing it. And what's interesting is if you look at it in the face of the liability costs, bent metal's one thing. Let's avoid crashes. Bent metal's important stuff. But the liability is so great. It takes such a small investment to make a big difference.
That's right.
And that's really where, looking at it from an ROI standpoint, it's an easy case to make. It really is. Our risk manager product, for example, is a great way of pulling in disparate data points like the MVR data, like the telematics data, like the collision data into one platform that then can automatically remediate. There's one thing to identify risky drivers, but if you just identify them and don't do
Right.
anything about it, you've actually put yourself in a
Terrible.
worse situation.
That's exactly right.
You got to remediate through safety training, coaching, all that other good stuff that comes along with it, and choosing a partner that can really has proven results and really can show you the ROI and that it does make a difference, can really help drive your crash risk down. And I would just kind of close with saying, it's all about, if you think about it in kind of those groups of three, it's identify, remediate, measure, and then do it again.
So, Phil, I think he has summed up every podcast we have
I
had
think you did, Elliot, so
in less
thank
than
you.
2 minutes.
So one of the things you said, which I absolutely agree with, is that sometimes, so I see these corporations that have all kinds of slip, trip, fall, manufacturing safety, everything, but the forgotten side of safety is driver safety. And their greatest exposure is with the drivers.
100%.
They need to look at that. They need to do something about that. The goal, and when they approach it with the drivers, they need to say, hey, we're not doing this as a punitive measure. We really want to make sure you get home safely every day. And it's the most dangerous thing most people do every day is they drive.
Drive.
Yes.
Statistically speaking, and oh my goodness, with the numbers the way they are now, did you see the 2022 stats? I think I mentioned this yesterday.
46?
46,000 now.
Incredible. It's
46,000 fatalities just here in the U.S.
Avoidable.
Incredible.
Totally avoidable. Most of them should be avoided.
Totally. Very seldom did I ever investigate a crash that one or both of the drivers couldn't have done something. Well, you know what? I'll retract that. One of the drivers made a mistake, and typically both of them could have done something
to
keep it from happening.
Yes.
So, Phil, you touched on a really interesting point about the punitive part of it. With the telematics now, you can actually create a gamification scenario,
Right.
almost like a Fitbit, where I want to do better than you and you want to do better than me, and that actually can drive improved driving without even doing anything punitive. It's
Because
cool.
they're competitive.
It's competitive,
It's
and we're all
Nobody
competitive,
wants,
right?
Nobody wants to be at the bottom. Everybody wants to be at the top.
Exactly.
So if you post
why not?
it's really
Why
good.
not utilize that?
And we
Great
use
point.
telematics in my organization, and we always see that the drivers start off with really bad scores in the first month or two, and then they start going, and then they plateau. They
Right.
stay really high.
100%.
It works. It's really good, and it's beneficial. We've had drivers actually do a video testimonial saying, "Thank you for doing this. I thought I was a good driver, and it turns out I was not, and now I feel like I'm a better driver." And then we hope that behavior continues when we take it out, because we don't leave it in all
And
the
let's
time.
take that a step further. Then, how does that affect their family? Not only that they're getting home
Exactly,
safe every day, but what I found also over the years is that now, when their kid starts driving, or even the husband or the wife, starts driving, guess what? That's passing along there. So how many people are being affected? It does create a ripple effect. But I mean, listen, we're going in the wrong way. We're going the wrong way right now, and it needs to be fixed.
Absolutely,
And we
yes.
need to address it now.
Well, that's why we're here talking about it. Elliot, thank you
Exactly.
so much for being on the podcast. We are speed podcasting. We're at 5 minutes. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate
the
it.
opportunity.
Really appreciate you summing up every podcast we've had.
It really did.
And we're going to continue the tradition from yesterday and fist bump out.
Yes, sir. Thank
Hey,
you,
buddy.
guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Take care.